Welcome to the MEMSPA Region 2 Top 10 Tips and Tricks for New Principals. My name's Emily SICKLER and I'm on the Board of Directors for MEMSPA. We are so excited for you to join our family and be part of this wonderful organization. We know that being a principal is tricky, it's challenging, and oftentimes with elementary, you might be the only administrator in your building. So we want you to know that you are not alone, and I have some friends here to share some good advice and some tips to help you on this journey. So here you go.
Hello everybody, I'm Nick Angel, the proud principal of Dwight E. Beach Middle School in Chelsea, about 15 minutes west of Ann Arbor. I'm also the MEMSPA Region 2 president and also a doctoral student who is writing his dissertation currently surrounding best ways to support teachers and improving job satisfaction around non-compensation variables. So today I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is relationships. Education is a relationship business and something that I'm passionate about, and something that as a new or aspiring administrator I wanted to make sure that you were able to hear a couple of ideas from me on. I'm going to talk very briefly about my entry plan on how I was able to develop relationships in my first administrative experience, and then a little bit about building relationships, sustaining relationships, and leveraging relationships. I was lucky enough to be hired on 10 years ago as the new middle school principal in Chelsea after serving as the assistant principal at Chelsea High School for 3 years. And I had always heard about your 90-day entry plan, and that was something that I wanted to be a living and breathing thing. So I actually set up a communication and relationship plan where I did a coffee with a principal. So for the entire months of June, July, and August, I met with every single staff member in my building, which was 65, to include paraprofessional staff, custodial staff, office staff, food service staff, all of my teachers and my itinerant and support staff, to sit down and just have conversations about what made the building such a great place, to hear for themes surrounding areas that we could improve on, but most importantly to put forth the idea that I was the consummate listener and learner. I was a younger administrator, and I really wanted the staff to know that I was there to listen, to learn, and to ultimately help make the building a better place. So we sat down, had all kinds of wonderful conversations, like I said, 65 to be exact. It was a lot of cup of coffees, and came up with a couple reoccurring themes that I wanted to share with you. And that is, when you're coming new into a position, don't rock the boat. Be the listener. Don't make drastic or immediate changes. Don't spend too much time with your rookies and your veterans. Kind of look for that sweet spot, and then make sure you get out of the office. The earliest and easiest way to develop relationships is to invest in those relationships, to spend time scheduling out times walking around the building, into classes, to make yourself available, because ultimately the best conversations that you have are ones that are happening outside of your office. So fast forward, you are sitting in this shoes for a year or two. It's really important to cultivate and to build those relationships. So we were really fortunate that my building was already a well-established team, so I was able to come in and just kind of fine-tune and add my stamp onto the building. So we put together all kinds of fun social activities, quarterly social activities for our staff. We kept a checklist, which was a touch-in checklist in my office to make sure that we were touching base with all of our staff in the building, and then also to make sure that staff saw that I was just as willing to participate in their duties as I'd want them to be in mine. So I would sub, cover classes, wipe tables, do lunch and recess duty. Just participate in any way that I could so that staff would know that we're on the same playing field. That is not only developing relationships, but it's investing and cultivating those relationships. After you've sat in these shoes once again for a little bit longer, incredibly important for you to be clear in your expectations, and for staff to be clear in their expectations of you. I like to say it's feeding the beast, to empower your staff and to get out of the way. I feel strongly that your job as a school administrator, especially as a new school administrator, is to remove barriers and burdens for your staff. Lastly, leveraging relationships. So what does your staff expect from you? What resources do they need? How are they going to be impacted by decisions that are being made for them or with them? And then why is this important to them? So So leveraging relationships is all about teacher collective efficacy and making staff feel that they are part of the decision-making process. It can't be lip service. It has to be a living, breathing thing within your building. After 10 years, I'd say the building runs better when I'm not there, because we have a building that's entirely littered with teacher leadership. To conclude, I just wanted to highlight once again that relationships are the lifeblood of a building. That if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your students, which is the most important job that we have. And then lastly, to remember again, relationships means removing barriers, burdens, and roadblocks for your staff. Thank you once again, Nick Angel, proud principal of Dwight E. Beach Middle School. Thank you for serving the students and staff here in Michigan.
Most of us become principals to make a bigger impact. In order to make that impact, we have to laugh and make connections with students. We have different classrooms now. The cafeteria, the hallways, and the parking loops have now become our classrooms. So how do we make these spaces ones where we can connect with students and staff and families? Here are a few ideas. So thanks to Alice and Epsi, we have our jammy packs where we can have Bluetooth music and sing along with kids as they're walking down the hallways and we're saying hello. You can always take a fine selfie with kids because students love to take selfies with their principal. There is also recess, so making certain that you're going outside and maybe playing in a game of kickball with students. Don't forget to maybe start a club. At Miss Lee Middle School, we have Page Turner with the Principal, where I meet with kids once a month and we talk about books and we make book recommendations to the other students. So those are just some ideas to continue to make connections with kids in spaces that are now our classrooms. Have a great day.
Hi, my name is SHANNA SPICKARD and I am Milan Middle School Principal and MEMSPA, Michigan Elementary Middle School Principals Association, and the National Association of Elementary School Principals, rep. And I'm here to talk to you about networking. It's important that we make sure that the principalship is not a job of isolation, and we can do that through networking. And the principalship has been fantastic for me because I've been surrounded by other colleagues that can support me through this time. MEMSPA and NASP provide a wealth of resources and great benefits, including legal support and liability insurance, which we wouldn't have our cars and houses without, so we shouldn't have this profession without it. But far more important than any of those is the friends, the colleagues, and the network of support and resources through these associations. I would encourage you to join and make sure that you diversify your network. Having networks are so important, and it's great to have principals of like districts, such as the same grade level or same type of setting, but it's also fantastic to look at principalships and have those friends and colleagues of other districts to diversify that network. And with NASP, you're able to do so, and I have been very grateful to being able to talk to principals from around the country through the National Association to see how they're dealing with COVID or other tough things. In addition to diversifying your network, it's also important that you dedicate time to that network. So a lot of the times we want to do a great job and we're in the building, we don't like to get out, but really build capacity and empower people so you can get out and participate and get involved with this network. I encourage you to attend regional meetings or do a national webinar, become involved in a book study, or my very favorite professional learning network is our very own #MEMSPA chat on Thursday nights at 8 with Mike Domagalski and many leaders from around the state and country. All I can tell you is that this job can be hard, and I would not have survived 15 years as a building leader without an amazing network and lifelong friends. So join and think about establishing a fantastic group to help support you.
I'm Matt Seo. I'm the assistant principal at Beach Middle School in Chelsea, Michigan. And today I'm going to be talking about building culture, both internally and externally. The first thing I'm going to talk about is setting the climate for your students and for your staff using energy, enthusiasm, and engagement. Make sure that you're visible in the building and that teachers and students feel your energy when you walk through the hallways. Say hi to students, check in on staff members to see how they're doing, and approach everything with a lot of enthusiasm. That's really going to set the tone for your whole building. You're the weatherman, so you've got to make sure that everybody feels the temperature you're setting. Make sure you show students and teachers what you prioritize too. Spending your time when it comes to social emotional learning, spending your time when it comes to special education. Make sure you're investing what's most important to you, your time, into what you think is most important for the building. Next, I'm going to talk about a couple ways that you can build bonds inside your building and build that building culture. Really easy steps. Start with staff appreciation. Recognize staff for anything. Celebrate those small successes that you have in your building, whether it's reaching a specific kid, whether it's a great lesson plan, or whether it's helping out another staff member. We want to take the opportunity to celebrate those small moments, and you can do it without it costing you any money. Print out a certificate that outlines what it is that staff member did and give it to them during a staff meeting. Better yet, have other staff members recognize each other for their accomplishments. One thing that we do at Beach Middle School is we keep a spreadsheet of favorites for a teacher. We keep track of their birthday, we keep track of their favorite candy, their favorite snacks, and depending on things that are going on, if a teacher needs a little pick-me-up or they do something extraordinary, we'll go out and buy their favorite candy and put it on their desk just to surprise them. These are little small things that build that internal culture in your building that really make it a positive and fun place to be. Give your teachers an opportunity to wear the colors for the school. It builds that internal capacity for community inside the building, but also in the greater community. In Chelsea, we wear our Vegas gold and navy blue every Friday, whether it's a football game or a baseball game, or it's just a regular old Friday. It brings that group together, and the casual Friday is kind of a fun thing for everybody as well. And another easy thing is have staff outings. Give your staff an opportunity to get outside of the building and get to know each other as human beings, not just professionals. You'll find that you learn a lot about your staff members, and they'll see you in a more comfortable light, and it'll make things a little more fun when you come to the building the next time. It also lets your staff know that you're human too and that you're a person. And finally, if you're trying to build that culture that you can show to the world, make sure you're using social media. Get on all the latest and greatest social media platforms. We use Twitter, Instagram, we have a blog, we have Facebook, and we also have a close link with our local news outlet, so we can tell them about all the great things that we're doing inside Beach Middle School, and the community can see it. One thing that Mr. Angel's always said to me is, if you're not telling your story, somebody else will. And we want to be in control of that narrative, so make sure that you're telling your story. Thank you.
Hello principals, I'm Tammy Reich, principal at Creekside Intermediate School and Dexter Community Schools. I am here to talk to you today about optimizing systems. Optimizing systems is essentially creating, supporting, and adopting systems that work for you and the vision of your school. The National Association of Elementary School Principals, in their publication, The Pillars and Practices and Priorities of Effective Principals, highlight 3 practices that support optimizing systems. The first practice is managing talent and resources to maximize teaching and learning. This is about hiring the best teachers. Find a way to identify the needs in your team and find a way to interview so that you get the best candidates. It's also about building on your teachers' strengths and putting them in the right places. It's about making sure that you have the right supports in place for teachers. Quality mentoring and quality coaching is very important. The second practice is to cultivate support in district and community. This means partnering with local organizations and businesses to help support your goals and create place-based instructional strategies. Good principals create relationships with communities. Professional networks and your community are important ultimately because they will support your school in the teaching and learning process. The third practice to focus on is what matters most. Effective principals focus on what matters most, like prioritizing the high impact initiatives that you have and getting rid of distractions that get in the way. It means creating a clear vision, mission, and priority for your school. It may mean using tools like the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle that will help you focus on and evaluate your changes. When making difficult decisions, bring it back to what matters most. Think about students and think about teaching and learning. So the practices I shared with you were managing talent and resources to maximize teaching and learning, cultivating support in the district and community, and focusing on what matters most. Oftentimes, new principals don't realize the impact of optimizing systems. They tend to maintain the status quo or stick with the things that have been in a school for years. I invite you and challenge you to look at your systems and think about how you can optimize them to make them work so that your school is what you want it to be.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily SICKLER and I am the proud principal of Harvest Elementary School in Saline, Michigan. I'm here today to share a little bit about self-care and wellness. Self-care is the everyday work that I do to make myself a little bit happier and a little bit healthier. You know what they say when you're in the airplane, you have to put on your own mask before you help others. I think about that each and every day. It's important that I serve my students and my staff. I am the best that I can be, and the only way I can do that is with some self-care. I know a lot of you have heard about an individualized education plan. Well, Dr. Kelly Vance out of Nebraska talks about doing a self-care IEP, an individualized energy plan. And there's some steps I want to share with you about how to do that so that you can be the best principal that you can be. First, you need to know that just like an individualized education plan, an individualized energy plan is going to look different for everyone. So you just really need to take the time and think about what works for you. Step 1, make a list of things that you enjoy, things that rejuvenate and recharge you. For me, a lot of that is being with people. I am definitely an extrovert. So I need to find times that I can put the pause on my email, put the pause on some of that work, and carve out time so that I can be with my family and my friends. Step 2, what are the barriers? What are ways that with your IEP that might get in the way? For me, my calendar gets really busy really quickly. So on the weekend, I look at my evening commitments, I look at the pieces that I need to do for work, and then write in my calendar with my Board of Ed meetings and my after school plays to go watch my kids. I plug in those times to be with my family and friends. So it is in my calendar. It is saying to myself that is as important as some of those work pieces. The third step is to identify those assets. What do you already have in place that can help you with your individualized energy plan? For me, I'm really lucky. I want to spend time with my friends and my family, and I already have some things in place. On Sundays, my family gets together for a big dinner. On Thursdays, a group of friends does yoga. So what I need to do is use those assets to help me with my IEP. The fourth step is to monitor your IEP. Look at those goals that you have set, just like a IEP for students, but for yourself, and really monitor how's it going. If you made that plan to be able to spend time with your family and friends and all of a sudden you called and said, oh, I can't do that, or work got in the way, what can you do differently? So really keep track of that. And the fifth step is to find those accountability partners who can be checking in on you and saying, hey, how's it going with your IEP? Is it going well? Great, celebrate those successes. If it's not, could you do something differently? It takes a little bit of time at the beginning, but I really believe that when you put in that time and you create that IEP for yourself and go through those steps, you are going to be the best that you can be. And I know for principals, we give so much to our students, we give so much to our staff, but we need to take that time to refuel ourselves too, so we can be the best that we could be. So put your mask on and then go help your others. Be well. Thanks.
Hello MEMSPA colleagues, my name is Craig McCullough. I am principal of Anchor Elementary in Dexter, and my top 10 topic today is school law. So a couple things I'll touch base on here right now is attorneys and how do we use them within our schools, school law notes that get sent out, also a little bit about the Office of Special Education, how to work with your student information system through technology, and then just a couple reminders of touching base again. So most school districts around all have at least one attorney, if not multiple attorneys. In Dexter, we have multiple attorneys. The reason being is it depends on the situation. Some attorneys are better at handling some cases than others. Attorney fees typically run between $250 and $350 an hour. So that's just good to know. So when you call, you want to make sure you're being very succinct when you call. Our attorney, Troon, is one of the big ones we use, and for us, since we have them on retainer, if the call is less than 15 minutes, it's usually free. just because of how much work we do. Also, a good part is to check in with your superintendent about who calls attorneys, right? We just as administrators usually can't pick up the phone and call an attorney. That call is usually made by your superintendent or HR director or someone else. So it's always good to reach out and see who can make those phone calls. We also, in our district, we tend to call probably more often because it helps save us in the long run. So our kind of philosophy is call ahead of time, and that saves you money in the back end. So if you are a Troon district, I think many districts in the state of Michigan are, Troon sends out school law notes on a monthly basis. So they are great information as far as updates, as far as policies, procedures, how to work with personnel, finances. It's a great little, usually 6 to 11 page document with all the updated laws that are in it. So if you don't get those already, reach out to your superintendent and see if they'll send them to you. It's just a great way to keep yourself up to speed. The next thing when I work with administrators where they get sometimes in sticky trouble is with special education law. So a lot of times we make decisions about placement or where to move kids or behaviors. If you're not up to date on the law for our students with IEPs, it could be a bind for the district. So reach out to your special education director, talk with them really before you make those decisions. They will help save some things in the back end. Michigan Department of Ed really is another great resource. I have a number here, I'll hold it up real quick for you. So if you need to call or find out information for special education, call this 888 number. They will help you out as well to make sure to keep you out of some of those special education pitfalls. So they really have lots of great information on their website. If you want to look at supporting your LGBTQ+ students, especially when it comes to preferred name, preferred gender, make sure you know your person in technology usually that does your student information systems. So they'll be able to look about when class lists go out for testing. So talk with them. That's really how you can support and make sure your school is inclusive for all of your students, especially your marginalized students. Name, gender are usually the two biggest things to touch base on. So kind of wrapping up the law piece here. Talk with your superintendent, HR director, and find out who you use and when you should and should not contact an attorney. Special education director, make sure they are one of your good friends. That will really help keep you out of trouble sometimes. So if you're unsure with a student with IEP or special education, reach out to your special education director. Technology as well, that'll help with preferred name, preferred gender to make sure it is in the system like it wants to be. And to our MEMSPA membership. If you are a MEMSPA member, MEMSPA does give you, for your own protection, $500 a year to help protect you with legal fees. And if you are a full MEMSPA member, it means you're also an NAESP member, and they do give you $1,000 a year, and that actually accumulates up to $10,000. So if you're a member in good standing for 10 years, not only do you have your $500 a year from MEMSPA, you'd also have then $10,000 through NAESP. I hope this tip helps.
Hello, my name is KARI, and I am the principal at Voyager Elementary School in Howell, and I am here today to talk to you about communication, but communication as it relates to listening. In general, when thinking about listening, you want to speak less and listen more. The first thing you want to do is give 100% of your attention to the person who's speaking. Do not try and multitask. Make sure that you are listening 100%. As you're listening, do not judge or evaluate what the person is saying unless that person asks you to do that. Next, do not impose your solutions, again, unless the person asks you to do that. Next, make sure that you ask more good questions as you're listening. So ask the person if they have more information to share, if they would like to clarify something that they've said. Just pursue getting more information from them as you are listening. Finally, listening is something that you need to practice, practice, practice. It's not something that usually comes naturally to people. It's something that you really need to focus on. So each time after you've had a conversation where you've been utilizing active listening, the thing that you want to do is to then reflect. Go back over some of the things that should be happening and reflect on how you did and what you might do to improve your listening skills the next time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Gillow, and I'm the proud principal of North Creek Elementary School in Chelsea, Michigan. North Creek is a young 5th through 2nd grade building. Today I'm going to talk to you about the most important part of being a building principal. The most important thing about being a building principal is supporting our teachers so that they can do the work that's so important with our students. When teachers feel supported, they do their best for our kids. We need to be courageous leaders, pump up the positive feedback, energize that feedback, and encourage leadership in our schools. Communicating clear and high expectations is part of being a courageous leader. Don't let anyone tell you that having high expectations is a bad thing. The very best schools have high expectations for both their students and their staff. Communicating these high expectations clearly and maximizing support for our teachers is the most important work a building principal can do. Being courageous means wearing an invisible shield. You'll need it daily in this work. Be confident that you have carefully considered all of the perspectives and what's best for students, and then be brave enough to have those hard conversations. If we stay in our comfort zone, we don't grow. Whether it is in our intentional conversations, planned meetings, or evaluation follow-up meetings, it is our responsibility to encourage our teachers to improve and grow. The shield is there because the reality is there may be some people, hopefully not many, who are uncomfortable reflecting and being challenged to improve. It's our job to help them get through it, and with support, we can do that. Our teachers need positive feedback. Be specific, not the generic kind of feedback. Oh, that's awesome, great job. We need to give them feedback that allows us to shine a spotlight on the fact that you understand the complexity of their work. We also need to energize that feedback. Our feedback should leave our teachers feeling 3 things. They should feel pride, they should have an understanding and an appreciation for the fact that you understand their job and how it is to be a teacher in the classroom, and they should also have a desire to reflect, grow, and improve based on our feedback. If you're having trouble thinking of specific feedback for a teacher, I want you to think about, is this feedback that a non-educator could give? If so, then we need to be more specific and do it more often. And if you're having trouble thinking of any positive feedback for a staff member, then I want you to look in the mirror, because that's a reflection of our previous feedback and the work that we need to do to have hard conversations with that person all along. We need to support our teachers. It's our responsibility. Every student deserves a school where the staff expects excellence from all young and adult learners. The best schools are not led by one single person. The best schools are led by lots of leaders at all different levels. As a building principal, you need to be on the lookout for teachers who have positive leadership potential. When you find them, tell them why and invite them to be a leader in whatever way you need them to. Tell them specifically, I need you because you have positive energy. You would be a good leader for this group because I need people who think differently than the others in this group. You would be a good leader because you listen well, like a good leader should. Trust them to do the leadership work, provide praise, and follow up with specific feedback. Most importantly, remember that every action, every reaction, every interaction are opportunities to support our teachers in this important work. And know that we're here to support you as well.
Hi, I'm Michelle Chekowitz. I'm the principal of Woodland Meadows Elementary School in Saline, where I've been the principal for 10 years. Early on in my career, I felt the weight of the school on my shoulders. Any problem that came up, any building initiative, I felt it was my responsibility, solely alone, to solve it. I've learned over the years the best leaders lead by empowering others. It relieves yourself so that you can ask the right questions and find the right players, and it also empowers your leaders throughout the school. So thinking about the leaders in your own building, think about curriculum initiatives. How about your department chairs and the leaders there so they can focus on the content that they know best? Thinking about building routines and operations, think about your support staff that watch the routines take place every day, and maybe they can identify errors or ways and solutions to solve them. Think about your students as leaders. The kids that are out on the playgrounds and interactions, they know where the problems lie. Reach out to them and empowering them to lead and solve those problems. Once you identify those players, think about how you can support their leadership. Our greatest resources, and often the most constrained, is time and money. So when you're thinking about your building budget, set aside resources in that budget, set aside money so you can say yes to those amazing passion projects when people have great ideas. Think about ancillary money that you may get through fundraisers or picture money. Think about ways that when people have ideas and people have solutions, you can support that and say yes. Thinking about time, think about the structure of your school day and the time that is available to you. If you have, for example, a collective bargaining agreement that gives a weekly staff meeting, perhaps you can take that off of the plates of your staff and give them that time to work and meet the needs that you would cover in a staff meeting through a weekly blog, through an email, and cover those in another capacity so they don't have to come to the meeting and they can use that as work time. Also, think about the structure of your school day. If you're at an elementary level, can you create common planning times so that your curricular leaders can get together and focus on the common content that they have together and solve those problems and work to improve in those areas? So think about your structure, think about the money that you have available, and how you can support their leadership. Last, I'd like you to think about ways that we can empower you. The MEMSPA group has excellent principals all over the state of Michigan that are waiting to help and empower you as a leader. So renew your membership, check into the MEMSPA chat on Thursday nights, and know that we are all here ready to support you. Thank you and have a great year.
MEMSPA colleagues, I hope this information today really helps you. As for new principals out there, even for seasoned principals, more information is always better to help and support each other each and every day. Colleagues, you are not alone. We are all in this together.